Ladies and
Let's go.
gentlemen, we are joined by the rapologist, the Grand Fromage, head of Rival, head of anything magic, anything that's a pool sport. And he will deny it, but we know on good authority he is a carrier bag enthusiast by proxy, a fanny pack lover. Now, Russ Anber is back with us. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm not sure if things related to pool, if to a pool, I'm not sure that quite quantifies me because it would be more
I said
cue
Q
sport.
stick. I said Q stick sport. I did say that.
Okay, what? Okay, I must have missed. I thought you said pool. So
I
okay,
might. To be honest, I get this highly likely I could have done. Right. We have
twice.
we have exactly 55 minutes with you. So let's jump straight into it. Tell me what it was like being in the corner with your boy Usyk at Tottenham. It was we watched, and it was one of the best heavyweights, most intense heavyweight fights in a long time. And like me and Ian were looking at each other like, who'd you have that to? We're like, Usyk. I've got it like 7-5. I've got it 8-4 now. And then we're waiting for the decision, and both of us were like, they're gonna do him dirty. They're gonna do him dirty. And then, to be fair, tell me you wasn't shitting yourself in the corner.
Well, I'm not sure what I was worried.
Mm.
I was worried because prior to that, Campbell Hatton had gone on, and everyone had said I didn't see the fight, but everyone had
Campbell won every second of every minute of that fight, and he
I
knew
was,
that.
so I don't know, but everyone was saying, "Oh, that was a bad." I said, "What happened?" And you getting worried. I was a little bit concerned with the British judge. That
Yeah.
had me because he had it by 1 point to Usyk, and I thought, and he gave us the last round, which means
Mm.
if we didn't win it, we would have lost the fight on
Yeah,
his card. So that has to get you worried a little bit. But
for sure.
as an event, it was just a monstrous event, and I was thrilled to be part of it. And yeah, everyone asked me, wow, what was that like? Were you nervous? And I didn't. It was like that's exactly where I was meant to be, and that's the corner I was meant to stand in, and
Yep.
do the work that I was supposed to do, and I treated it as such. And I try to tell the cornermen that I work with, you know, don't be a fanboy.
Yeah.
We have a job to do, and you would be surprised. And I'm not going to begin to name names or whatever, but you would be surprised at how many people cannot fulfill that role of being a corner man and doing their job and removing themselves from being the guy's friend, and he's my friend and I'm a fan, like it's.
Russ.
Sorry. Yeah. No, Russ. If there's any sort of hand gestures, I'm doing it to someone else. Sorry, dude.
I thought he was telling me, Shruz, don't say
No, that would be rude.
I wasn't
Sorry,
naming names, was I, Ian?
No. Right. So you're saying don't be a fanboy, basically. You'd be surprised how many people.
You'd be surprised how many people are working world championship contests and are so wrapped up and so nervous and and they're yelling and screaming the minute the bell goes, like relax, man. The fight just started. Like you got a professional here who knows what he's doing, So and when work needs to be done, you need to focus on the work, all the things that have to be done in the corner, and so many people don't do it. And I'm proud to say that there are a few guys that I work with that I really love working in the corner with, and that they're a Formula One pit crew. Those are the ones I like working best with real pros. But sometimes you get guys coming in that have no business to be in that corner, and you hope that nothing goes wrong, because if you need them, forget it. They're not going to be of any service. They're going to be all wrapped up.
Do you think that's a product of like a veteran like yourself, who's like a devout industry guy? Everyone, you'll get called over to do someone's hands. You'll be, the cut man. You're multifaceted in that. With those maybe younger trainers, are they like hinged onto a single talent that if this goes wrong, that potentially damages the old income quite considerably, or just inexperience?
I think a lot of it is just either inexperience or, in more cases, an unappreciation of what it means to be a good cornerman. You know, this used to be an art. This used to be something that was reveled in, of how good you were, you know, that you surrounded. If you look back, when you look back and I'm not going back old days, you know, I'm just going back to like the 80s, you know, which might be ancient for some people, but doesn't seem to be that long ago for me. And you look at guys like, you know, Roberto Duran, who had Eddie Futchin, who had Ray Arcel and Freddie Brown in his corner. When you look back at Ray Leonard, who had, you know, Angelo Dundee in his corner. When you look back at Tommy Hearns, who had, you know, Emmanuel Stewart in his corner. When you look back at Larry Holmes, who had Eddie Futch in his corner, or whatever, and you realize they understood the importance of a corner, the importance of having the wisdom of how to handle a corner, how to work a corner, who's doing what. Everything is synchronized. This guy's got the mouthpiece. This guy's got the bottle. This guy's got this. This guy's got the Vaseline. Boom, boom, boom. And seconds out, ding, ding, ding. All of a sudden, all the parts are working again. Mouthpiece goes back in. Trunks are back in. The wife, you know, he pulled trunk. Okay, thank you. Last minute instruction. Whoop, everyone's out. And the ring is cleared right away. Now it just seems like it's a bloody free-for-all, and the commission say, come on, get out, clear the corner. You know, who's doing what, who's bringing water. It just seems that there's an unappreciation. And, you know, like so many fighters want to make their friends happy that they say, oh, you can come work in my corner, you know, you can come. And that gives them a ringside seat. You know, that's what they have a towel or a water bottle on their shoulder. They're standing there in the corner, and yo, it's a job, man. You hope that your guy doesn't need your services, you know, because it could be the difference between winning or losing the fight of how good the corner can be. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me over exaggerating.
No, but also too, like, I know every fighter is different and some respond to different things, but sometimes you see the corner just shouting and it's like you've got a minute to get across concise information. You see it like wasted so often. And I mean, not going into things, but that fight was a very striking distance whenever they'd cut to the corners on what was being said in one corner and what was being said in the other, like tactics and just almost like cheerleading. And sometimes Bud is a great example in the last one when he's like, I'm down going into the 10th. He's like, what? And then he went out and said, you know, sometimes things like that. And Mayweather, I've like personally, Mayweather is very hinged on himself. So I think it will take a while for the coaching thing and promoting thing to really take off for him because he's used to being the show. But the one thing when he went up to Tank and was like, listen, you're down. And then Tank did the same sort of thing. Sometimes you really need that. Like you said, it's not just about having your friends there and saying, yeah, that's amazing. If it's not amazing, you've got 1 minute to hear, change it up. What do you need to do? Not just, oh yeah, keep doing that. We'll let you out the cage in a few rounds. It's priceless, that minute.
Yeah, and I think you raised some very good points of the tactics and the cheerleading and how calm a corner can be. And a perfect example was, you know, with Crawford. I thought he was down ever so slightly, but I thought he was down going into the and when he looked at, I'm down. Yeah, you know, it was, you weren't winning all the way. I mean, the judges ended up having him ahead by, I think, 1 point on 2 cards and 2 points on another, which is still relatively close. I might have been the other way, favoring Porter, but it's approximately where it was. The fight was still in the balance. Let's put it that way. You know, the fight was still in the balance and could have gone to Porter. And very calm, you know, boom, 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 went out, did his thing. I think these things are important in a fight game, you know, of how calm you are, how you handle the corner, how you do your job. I think that's always going to prevail over mayhem in the corner. And I try to do that. You know, I try to make sure that, you know, our corner is efficient and that you have everything you need. And I guess that's what it does. Like I said, there just been a certain time where there was a pride in preparing the corner properly. And now maybe I'm just more critical, but I just see how it's not, you know, like you have no idea the amount of times where I have had, and I'm not going to name names now. Maybe I'll name it in my book one day, but not now, where I have had world-class trainers ask me to borrow my bucket, ask me to borrow my this, because they don't have it with them. What were you coming here for? Like, when you came here, what did you think you were going to need, you know? And so, yeah.
So from the corner perspective in the fight, at what point was there a point where you was like, this is in the bag?
No,
There wasn't all the way till the end. Like even when you started to see Usyk starting to land shots that were moving AJ, and he was seemingly completely in control of the situation. It was very like we've said that. To be fair, that was a very good performance from AJ. He was holding his own with one of the best boxers that there's ever been.
That yeah.
But like Luke Campbell and Loma, Luke did well for 45 seconds. Loma had the rest of the round.
Yeah. I think people were too quick to almost. Yeah, they were like just shitting on AJ. It's like that disrespects Usyk. It's like AJ gave a really good account of himself. Like AJ doesn't know.
That's what I thought, Ian, which is why I said I never thought it was in the bag, because I thought this chess match that he's playing, is turning into a chess match. Especially after 8 rounds, it was relatively even after 8. It was relatively close after 8. And now you say, oh, well, he took the last 4. Okay, but we didn't know how they were scoring them. If the judges go 2-2 in the last 4, which is they're very easily capable of doing,
Yeah.
We're in a draw or we lose the fight. You know what I mean? So I'm very, when I'm in the corner, it's so important for me for my guy to be dominant, to be dominant in there, that I win the round. This past weekend, I was in the corner of Jessica Kamara. She fought Callie Reese. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, we're winning this fight. We're winning the fight. And then when the scores are announced, we weren't even in the fight. It's like we didn't even show up. And I know I'm not that bad of a judge. I know I'm not that bad. So it's sometimes I always err on the side of caution, thinking, no, we didn't do enough. No, I'm not sure. I wasn't sure. Like they asked me in the corner, you think we got it? I said, we should, but who knows what they're going to. There's 70,000 people in here screaming for this guy, So, but I agree with you. I think that AJ put up a better performance than people think. I think he decided to say, okay, let's play chess with this guy. Let's get into him. You can never beat him that way. Well, that's easy to say after the fact. But I think the other way, going for broke and throwing a Hail Mary,
it's too risky,
completely out of gas after 6 rounds, the defeat might have been even more catastrophic. And if I understand correctly, AJ, now I'm not always a big fan on these punch stats that they give you, but that he threw more punches in this fight than he's thrown in any fight that he's had. And I don't know if that was correct. Ian, is that correct?
He was exhausted.
It might be. It sounds like it probably would. Because it was a very different AJ, and it was like a the thing is, against anybody else, and that's what we said straight after when we did the wrap up, that version of AJ really gives problems to a lot of people, but it's just Usyk is that good. You can't deny, like, he brought his A+ game, and just on the night it wasn't enough. There's no people like, oh, he needs this, he needs that. It's like he showed improvement, which for a long time, like, I'm not gonna talk trash at all, but from a pure skill perspective, I think he's a specimen, and he could do so much. And that's why this fight to me was great, because he showed, oh shit, there is actually more in the bag. There's more to come. Whereas a lot of time, if you stand in front of him, he'll knock you out. And Usyk was never going to be that guy. So it was interesting to see how it all unfolded.
And Usyk also hurt him early.
Yeah. That also too, that game plan goes out. If his thing was, I'm going to storm forward, I was about to say he felt that touch, and it was like, when he felt that, and the ease that Usyk was getting position early rounds, was like, this is a long night for him. And when we did it live, we were doing 2 scores, especially after Campbell. We were like, okay, we'll do what we think, and then absolutely worst case, like,
you do your opinion, and then you put yourself in the position of someone maybe on payroll, and you're like, could I have it this way? Just about, and I've got enough to argue.
All right. On this one, we got to we're going to give it to him. Even then, we were like, okay, no, this is a done deal, and it was terrible. We were still like so surprised and happy that they gave a right call. We were like, it shouldn't be like this, but thank fuck it is.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I'm sure this must happen in football over there, but in hockey over here,
you're telling the wrong people. Yeah.
When the home team, when Montreal Canadiens lose a game, they always say how bad the Canadians played on the night and how they got beat. But they never mention the other team that was there who might have played very, very well, you know?
Yeah.
And I know they did the same thing when Jean Pascal fought Boutte. You know, everyone said, oh my God, Boutte didn't show up, you know, and Boutte. Well, do you think it had anything to do with the fact that, you know, Pascal was firing leather back at him? So people seem to forget that there's another guy in the ring and we focus on what one guy should have done, but sometimes the other guy prevents you from doing it. And you were talking earlier about the corners and Mayweather, and I wanted to say this. When Mayweather was the fighter, that corner with Rafael Garcia and Roger, that was a very smooth, efficient, unpanicked, nice transition corner, you know, like it worked well. And I noticed these things. I've been noticing these things since I'm 18 years old of how corner men work and the difference in how they conduct themselves. And so I see a lot of that stuff, but I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, there's a beautiful clip too when Senior took over. It was, I think it's his last fight last proper fight with Berto, where he's talking and Floyd, I think, is looking away or something. He's like, Floyd, you're not listening. And he says exactly, he's like, yeah, pop to the head, down to the butt. And it's like, that's amazing that like, clearly it's in the bag, but he's still completely cognizant of what's being said. I was like, yeah, that's great.
Absolutely.
That's how a champion does it.
I just think that, you know, we have to give a little bit of reverence to the work that's done in the corner and what the cornermen do. We have to stop treating it like it's a free ticket for my friend that I can just get him licensed with any commission and he can work the corner, you know. And I think it's unfair that we don't treat the profession with the reverence it deserves.
And one thing, I'm not sure whether you're comfortable getting into this, but I went off on a rant with the flip side to that is because I feel like for the people that don't understand the sport, coaches, cornermen won't get the respect they deserve. Within the sport, sometimes there's a tendency for some people to get a little bit carried away with their role. And I thought Porter's dad, after the fight, throwing his son under the bus like that was just, but whatever's gone on behind the scenes, Sean fought his heart out. Like you said, it was like, you can't say that didn't happen. And like, if he's not listening or whatever, that seems like a conversation to have off the cameras once things have cooled down. For that to be the first words out of your mouth, that's why I stopped the fight. It's nothing to do with stopping it. Like that was going to go one way, but at least give him the credit for putting on a fantastic performance, especially if that was his last fight, which I'm assuming they discussed before that. I thought that was a little bit like, let the fighter have his moment too. You know, it's not.
Ian, listen, I know Kenny and I know Sean, you know, and they've been coming to our office in the UK since we opened, you know, and they're lovely people. And I admire Sean Porter so much as a fighter who people ask me, you think he gets out? I said, yeah, I don't think he is. He's a hard out, you know, you're not stopping Sean Porter. You know, no one stopped Sean Porter.
Yeah.
And when the father stopped it, the kid was in good shape. Like he was hitting the camera. He knew he'd made a mistake, you know, and now he's down twice. He knows he's going to lose that round by 3 points, you know. So it's resonating within him. I can't explain the actions of Kenny. Everybody acts differently, and I remember again going back to when Jean Pascal fought Lucien Boutte. Stéphane Larouche, who had been with Boutte his entire career, did the same thing the following day on a talk show with Boutte sitting right beside him and basically, you know, said, you know, he's not right. His head's not on right. You know, he needs to retire. And I'm thinking, boy, you not only threw him under the bus, you drove the bus, you know, like, what was it? And I, who have been with Jean Pascal his whole career, might be one of the most undefendable boxers, you know, with things that he's done that I've ever been with.
Yeah.
And I've defended him and protected him publicly and will continue to do so, you know, because I've known him since he's 15 years old and I know where he's come from and what he's done. And, you know, there will be I will defend what he does publicly. And privately, I'll tell him something different, but I certainly will never be a bus driver, you know, and throw him under the bus at the same time. Yeah. But that's me. That's the way I do it, you know. But apparently it seems like now in the age of social media, you're allowed to air your dirty laundry in public to everybody. Everyone should know what you're saying and what you're going to do, and you film it while you're doing it. So, you know, like I guess it's just different generations. I'm not for this world much longer, you know, like there's
I think you got a while.
yeah, but even if I do have a while physically, it's like,
oh, you're talking about going into the metaverse, isn't it? Are you buying are you buying virtual land?
No, no, but
Okay.
no, I'm not buying virtual land. I see all that stuff. Everything I've ever learned in my 60 years of existence on this earth serves me no purpose today. You know, everything about values, respect, all the way you should do things to be right. They're not applicable anymore. Like it's a completely different set of rules. Somebody changed the rules in the middle of the game.
Because reality is a suggestion. It's a very famous saying.
Yeah,
it's an idea. It's hey, nothing more.
Yeah.
Russ, so if we take away the allegiances, right, and just bring in your experience and your expertise, rematch wise, if you are, because Usyk's gonna Usyk. Like Loma's always gonna Loma. Those two are always gonna do their own thing. They're the outliers of this generation for the differences that they are. Like Bud, incredible. Canelo, incredible. But they don't do anything where you're like, no, I don't really see that before. And now, like, there's a little, what's his name? Peter McGill. It's like he's like a 1-0 boy in the UK, and he moves. We call him Little Loma. He moves like Loma. He's like ex-Team GB, and he looks phenomenal. Anyway, for the rematch, are you saying from what you've read in the news, everything gone on, would you say a camp move would be good for AJ? And then on top of that, do you see a different fight? Do you see from the corner, other than a heavy shot getting landed either way early and disrupting the fight, skill set for skill set, even in the 6 months from now, do you think that it can change enough for AJ to pull a win out? Or is it more of what we saw, faster, and the cooking begins a little bit quicker?
Well, look, personally, I'm going to take this as serious as a heart attack because I think AJ has proven in the past that he can come again and that he has all the physical attributes. And I think one of the reasons he is where he is, and I think it's fair to say that this is not a Floyd Mayweather of a supremely naturally gifted talent that Ronald McDonald could have been in the corner and he would have been just as much a success. I think that Rob McCracken played an immense role in the manufacturing of this fighter. You know, I think there was a lot to do. I think you have to tip a lot to what Rob has done and to bring him to this point. And I think criticizing Rob for what went on in the ring, I think is completely unjust. I don't know what the inner workings are, what the inner circle is, but there seems to be a lot of chefs in that kitchen. You know, there seems to be a lot of people there. I know he's a massive machine in terms of marketing and what he is.
He's the number two. It's Canelo, then AJ, then
correct.
Like let's struggle and find number three, whoever it would be.
Yeah, the 2, 1 and 2 is here and 3's down here, right? But like with Canelo, you see that Eddie has the reins. You know, Eddie calls the shots. There's no this guy does this guy. Eddie tells this guy to do that, this guy to do that, this guy. That's not the vibe that I got with AJ. So a change in camp, I don't know. That's not fair to anybody who does not know the inner workings of what's gone on in the camp. Cannot offer an opinion on this because they don't know. We don't know what the camp was like. How do you know that all the right instructions weren't given and he didn't execute? We don't know that. They might have put together the perfect strategy and he didn't do it. We don't know. So anybody who offers up an opinion that he should change just because he lost, no, that's not good enough unless you know what's gone on before you. Now, if you're in the gym and you've watched these guys work or you know what's gone on in the gym and and I've been in those cases before where, they're training a fighter a certain way and I'm saying, this is not going to work. This is not going to work, And sometimes I've had to intervene in the corner, against my better judgment because I knew this wasn't going to work. Then you can say that. Again, I revert back to Jean-Pascal and Boutte and, saying, oh, Boutte wasn't there. He didn't do it. Okay, but I want to know, did he look great in camp? You can't say what he did on the night because I want to know what he looked like in camp. If he was terrible in camp, then say he was terrible in camp, and that's what he showed. He did exactly in the fight what he did in camp. But if you tell me he looked great in camp and he was crushing guys in sparring, hurting them, and then that showed up, well, then I think Jean-Pascal played a big role in that. So same thing with the Usyk. Unless you were in AJ's camp, unless you know what went on, I don't think you can offer up an opinion because it's just an opinion, right? It's based on absolute zero fact on whether he should change. I've always liked Rob. I think he's a good trainer. I think in the Klitschko fight, I think he brought AJ back from the dead in the Klitschko fight because it almost looked like AJ was ready to go. And when he came back to the corner, he calmed him down. He allowed him to recuperate, and he says, we'll get him back. And then AJ started getting right back into the fight to then score a late knockout. So I'm a Rob McCracken fan. I think he's a pro's pro. But I don't know what goes on in the camp of how much say he has or how much say other people have, which are just different messages. So I don't know. I can't speak on it.
Okay. Now for the rematch, do you see again? I know it's really hard to step out of your position, but retain everything that you know. Can you see it going any other way than I understand that AJ's always dangerous. He's huge. He's a power puncher. He's fast. He's getting better by the day. All this other stuff. But for myself, full disclosure, I want AJ to win the rematch because I like the idea of the trilogy. I love Usyk. Usyk is right. Where's he gone? He's right there. Bosh. But I'm a Brit, and we went from having all the titles to one in the flash of an eye, and it doesn't matter how good of a fight it was. I want that rematch to be AJ's. Do you? Hey.
Well, that's good. Okay, we know where Rob is. Can't bring him out to dinner anymore now.
That's fine. Some of those Ukrainian gang members that you hang around with, I still have nightmares about them. To be honest, the one with the green hair and the questionable man bag. Every time I close my eyes, I see that guy. Anyway,
like I said, I will never enter a fight with anybody and think that it's a foregone. I mean, at that level, that it's a foregone conclusion, and especially somebody like AJ. So I'm taking it, like I said, it's as serious as a heart attack. So please don't think that I myself personally would be underestimated. And I certainly don't believe that Usyk will be underestimating it because if Usyk is to be successful again, it's going to once again require a Herculean effort on his part in terms of the physical output that it's going to take for him to get into fifth gear, sixth gear, seventh gear, keep finding those gears because that's what prevails for him against fighters is that when they're in fifth gear, he's still in second.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he finds third. He finds fourth. Then you're on even par and you're revving in fifth gear and he's still at 3,000 RPMs. Then he finds 6 and 7 and 8, and he has more gears in his gearbox than I've ever seen a fighter, especially of his size. It's always impressed me how Loma can set such a pace. But everyone forgot about the pace Usyk sets, and he's a heavyweight. I don't care what you say about cruiserweight. Back in my day, that was a heavyweight. And for a heavyweight to do that kind of pressure, and make you fight, even when he's not throwing punches, he's making you work when you don't want to work, and you can't rest. You can't grab him. You can't hold him. You can't rest. I think this is why I think also that anybody who thinks that a Fury win over Usyk is a foregone conclusion. Remember what Russ said.
I like the finger.
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like going from Tottenham up to Liverpool for that derby, that was a heavy fight, wasn't it? That was a big night.
The only negative thing about doing that was that I had to leave Tottenham and Upton Park Snooker Club, which was open
Yeah, I know
24 hours.
you're going to get a plaque in there soon.
And I'm a little bit, disappointed because when I go to Liverpool, in one of the nicest clubs I've ever been in, but they close at 11 p.m. I don't know if it's because of licensing they have or where they're located or whatever, but they have to close at 11 a.m. at 11 p.m. And
probably gets a bit stabby after that.
Yeah.
So 11 p.m. Like I've only been in the club an hour. What do you mean 11 p.m.? I haven't even eaten yet at your club. So that was the only negative. But listen, one of the reasons why I love working with Beefy and Callum is because I feel like I'm wanted. I feel like I'm needed. I feel like I'm part of the win, part of the effort. There's a contribution I feel I make, and it was great to be involved in. That was a hell of a fight. That could easily
be a good fight, wasn't it?
British fight of the year. That could be the British fight of the year. Although I don't see all of them, but sometimes feels like I do. But that could certainly be British fight of the year, and it was exciting as hell to be part of that. He's cut early in the fight. And I have to go to work, and oh wow, this we're in it now. And then being behind early in the fight, and then coming back, and showing some.
Did he come back? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like what a great night. It was a fantastic night. And I will say this, and I got to say it. I got to say it privately in the ring after the fight. But Jumbo did a great job on the cut that Fowler had. And I didn't get to see it until after the fight, but it was on the eyelid.
Yeah,
and it was really a bad cut. It was really a bad cut. I kind of like, okay, I guess I didn't do too much that night, my cut was just kind of on the corner. It took like 7 stitches, I think, but it was on the side. But this one was on the outside, and I told Jumbo after the fight, he did a great job on that cut. So, Liam's a competitive bastard, boy. I tell you what, man, that fucker, man, in anything he does, in anything, he's competitive, and he has a amazing mental strength. And I love working his corner. I love being part of his team. I want to go to camp with him next time because I really also enjoyed working with Joe McNally, and I think we meshed instantly. We became instant friends, and he, most importantly, and this I think is vital in working with me, he bought me a large kebab after the fight. So, bro, I'm in. I'll do whatever.
You're good to go at that point. Listen, I've been collecting the bags for life for you, like the ones you have to pay for. I've been keeping them. Next time you're over, mate, that's what you get in a box of them. You're covered forever. But how do you feel about the Ginger King going up to cruiser?
Steve Davis is going to cruiserweight?
Not Steve Davis. No, not Steve Davis. But
the other ginger.
Who's the snooker player with the fangs? Black-haired guy.
Ray Reardon.
No, it's not him. He's a much more famous English name than that. But he lives up the road. He literally, you see him about. I'll dig him out. What is his name?
Ray Reardon is the guy they used to call
Ray Reardon.
I mean,
no. I'm telling you, that's not his name. That's not the name I'm thinking of. Anyway, but please, okay. the Ginger King.
Well, listen, I think, unfortunately, in this day and age that we live in boxing, we live by the golden rule. And the golden rule is he who has the gold makes the rules. And Canelo...
That guy, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Well, Ronnie doesn't look like Dracula with fangs.
Have you seen that dude, Dracul? He has it. Okay, fine. Sorry, my bad.
Okay, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Yeah. How do you not know his name? Like, really? He just lives up the road. This guy.
He's not my friend. I just see him. I'm like, my wife watches snooker like an animal. I have no idea what her story is.
Okay. I think that Canelo has proven again, like in boxing, you do what you want when you're the goose that lays the golden egg.
Yep.
And, I think he wants another challenge. He won all the belts at 168. You could turn around and say, yeah, well, why doesn't he fight Benavidez, or what? Let him move up. Okay, he's moving up. He's skipping right through the light heavyweight division. He's going right, because he can't particularly find a money opponent, or an opponent he feels really comfortable in dealing with. And he feels more so that he can deal with that. And it would be a great achievement to see this kind of, get to the weigh-in, and you're going to see this kind of height advantage over one guy, all oiled and looking at Canelo. And little Canelo's going to be there. And then, he's going to win in spectacular fashion, and, prove how great of a fighter he is, which there's no doubt, he is a great fighter. The thing is he going to then lose the 30 pounds to come back down to super middle? However, that said, I have to retract that, because now, and this is why you think that maybe this was already predetermined before, the WBC has moved the limit down to 190 now.
Now, are you alluding that maybe the green belt is on the naughtier side and maybe conspiratorial? Because I feel the same. I said to Streets, the second that they said, oh, he's going to fight for Cruz, I went, they're going to push him to Bridger as well. They need something to bring eyes to Bridger. I'm with you, Russ, 100%.
Bridger might be a little heavy for him,
what does that mean?
No, it doesn't.
Exactly.
It doesn't. And I think Usyk against Joshua proved that it's not needed, but it just seems we're in a day and age where, David Benavidez is now fighting David Lemieux for an interim world title. Why do you need an interim world title when you just unified?
You just got undisputed. You have the number one now. Yeah,
you just unified him, and now you need an interim. It doesn't make sense. Okay, you can make it used to be, like I said back in the day, you'd have an elimination fight for the mandatory spot. Number one fights number two, or number two fights number three for the number one spot. That's the mandatory. They didn't give you a belt for being the mandatory. Now they give you a belt for showing up. They're like Oprah, everybody gets a TV. You get a TV. You get it. Everybody gets a TV. You get belts. You see, it's and you want to blame. And I have this argument sometimes with Scully and with Matt Cazavan. We talk about this. We want to blame the associations like the BC or whatever for these belts. But at the end of the day, the fighters want to pay for it. They want to take pictures with it. They want to brag that they're the silver champion. Dillian White, I'm the silver champion. Who cares? What makes you think that that's relevant? But they want to walk around with their trophy, and it's not the real world title. So, but they pay for it. They pay for the sanction. And if they didn't, if promoters said, I'm not paying a sanction fee for that, and the fighter said, I don't want to fight for that belt, there wouldn't be these belts. But they are there because promoters are paying the sanction fees. The fighters are paying the sanction fees. They're presenting it. The media is promoting it as a silver interim super duper title. And so they promote that. So you can't blame the BC anymore. They're feeding the desire that's there. Everybody wants a belt. Everybody wants a belt. So I got a text from a fighter who said that they were fighting for a something IBL world title.
Fine.
And this is one of those.
What's IBL?
I don't know. It's something
International Boxing League for sure.
Yeah, it's a league. It's not even officially recognized by the British Boxing Board of Control.
But there's world champs.
But it's a league, and there's a world champ, and they have belts and everything, and they take pictures with the belts and the whole bit, So,
all right. So, I am actually with you most of the time with the belt stuff. Other than, of course, they look epic as decoration, as we can see. But with like Booboo, for example, who, if he didn't have a world title, he would literally get no fights ever, let alone his mandatories or his no ones, right?
It's very sad that. It's very... Right?
So the second that we was chatting the other day, and it's like, say he fights Triple G for 3 of the 4 belts, and maybe that's Triple G's swan song because Booboo is huge for 160. Maybe he gets chopped down really late. Triple G, becomes unified middleweight champ again, probably retires within 25 minutes after that. He's had a long run. He's good to go. Can you imagine what series of events would get Booboo back into those rankings to be a threat again? Because, for example, AJ's ranked like number 7 for the WBA, and it's like he was champion last month. They're just savage with it.
They are.
And like it was Bernard Hopkins. He was like, with these belts, they have to have me fight. Without the belts, they wouldn't. And and like for Booboo, what do you do with him?
Bro, I don't know. In my time in this sport, he is one of the most avoided, ducked fighters in boxing. And it's because he is too good. He's too good. Now, I don't know all the details of what happens internally, what he's like to do business with. I don't know that. All I know is that whenever I've met him or his dad, they've been nothing but absolute gentlemen, okay? And I've known him since the amateurs. I've known him since he's maybe 12 years old, 12, 13 years old. We went down to fight. We went down to fight in Windsor, Connecticut, or Hartford, in that area. And David Lemieux was scheduled to fight somebody, and they wanted to switch and put David Lemieux in with Andrade. And I said, Scully said, "You want to We're good. We'll fight the guy we have." That's how good they knew Andrade was. And Andrade is talented. Don't think for 1 second he's not. And he's avoided because he's that good. Now, if he'd have been somebody who carried a fan base that AJ carried or Canelo carried or even Loma or Usyk, or Crawford, if you had that kind of fan base, where you're generating revenue, then I don't believe he would have been as done. But because
he is hated. He is for the, I for the life of me do not know what that guy has done to boxing fans. But like when we had him on in May, I still see comments flashing up of just pure hate for like a post from May on Booboo. There was 700 insulting comments about Booboo on our little feed, and it's just like, what have you done? I don't get it, because like he's quite funny. He seems quite chill.
I'm responding to your friend now, so I will speak to him in about 30 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. I don't know what he's done. But I know what he's done as a fighter is dominate his opposition. And I think he's a great fighter. Like, personally, if you announced Andrade against Golovkin tomorrow, I'm watching. I want to see you ask Andrade against anybody. I'm watching because he's that good.
I wanted him to be the replacement for Liam Williams for Junior. I thought that would have been a perfect fight. One of them's been talking about the other one. Booboo didn't even get touched. He'd have 3 weeks off, straight back over to the Cardiff Stadium, saved the day. Uncle Eddie sits there going, "Don't worry, Sky, I sorted you out again." Bosh.
Yeah, I don't know. That's it's a mystery question, but I, for one, as a trainer, as a fight guy, I can respect and admire everything Booboo does in the ring. I think he's a gifted, talented fighter, and I think he proved it again last week against Quigley. In fact, Quigley was, as good as he is, was overmatched against.
For sure.
Yeah.
Very quickly before we're done, what do you think about this weekend, Lopez and Kambosos?
I think the fathers and the outside people are trying to steal the show and not let the fighters do what they do. Again, another thing in boxing which maybe has just left me jaded for the sport. But I don't want to see that. Like, it's humiliating, to have to sit there and expose me to that kind of thuggery. When I've watched Roy Jones, when I've watched Sugar Ray Leonard, when I've watched Roberto Duran, like I'm watching legendary fighters. I'm watching.
Did Roberto Duran pick up a cat and throw it during an interview once?
Well, he might have, but at least he did it, and it wasn't his cornerman.
Yeah.
I always remember an old trainer named Chuck Telhamy from the Fifth Street Gym in Miami. He always said, when the bell rings, the trainer goes down the stairs.
Yeah.
And let the fighters talk. Fighters can say what they have to say, but as soon as the camps and the people start getting involved, I hate that, because you're not in there. You're not fighting. Your fighter doesn't need you to be chirping at the other guy.
Man, do you remember Ruben Guerrero and Danny Garcia's old man got? Oh my God.
Yeah. And where are either one of them now?
Yeah.
So I just don't like that. To me, it just belittles the sport and takes away from the fighter and what they can do. And it doesn't allow it to have the class and professionalism that it should have, and that should translate into people outside of boxing wanting to see the event, like we saw with Usyk and Joshua. And there's two guys that have never been shown that kind of attitude, have never done that, and look what they generated. So I think the theory of, you got to act like like you got to go crazy in weigh-ins and public trainings, media, you got to go crazy to sell the fight. Why do you mean you have to sell the fight? Like, I don't understand. Like, this doesn't, I don't know that there's any science that proves that the crazier you go at press conferences and the more obscene things you could say to somebody, turns into ticket sales. I think people were going to watch anyways, because if they saw you do that, they're interested in the fight to begin with. So what did you have to do?
You know what?
For?
I don't think it's really worked since Ali Liston either, or Clay Liston rather.
Yeah.
No, but what I was a big fan of was the press conference yesterday when it all kicked off and they've done the shove-in and stuff like that. Kambosos I don't think he really swears. I think he's very clean spoken, and he's in the middle of a slight melee and he's giving it the points and you're done, and these belts are the curse of you, and he's seethingly angry. And then in the midst of it, he's like, and congratulations on your newborn baby. I hope that you show up. And it was just like, where did that come from? I'm so angry with you, but you've had a baby, so I have to congratulate you as per decorum. It was amazing. It's one of my favorite clips of the year. He's like, it was the best.
Yeah.
That's why I'm with him all the way. I want Kambosos to do it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think Lopez is an outstanding talent. He's a great fighter. I'm still disappointed that, as boxing fans, and again, I reiterate that as boxing fans and boxing people, it's criminal. We're being deprived that we should have seen Lopez Loma too.
Yeah.
It doesn't make there have been rematches for fights that have been far more one-sided, that they've had rematches for. And we don't have a rematch for this. That's crazy in and of itself. It just doesn't make sense. It's despicable that this rematch hasn't been done, and you're not allowing a guy who has been one of the most decorated fighters, both amateur and pro, in boxing history, and that didn't earn him a rematch. That he hadn't done enough to earn that rematch. That bothers me immensely. That how quickly boxing will throw you to the shit pile. As soon as it gets an opportunity to, because if anybody deserved a rematch in a fight, Loma definitely deserved a rematch in that fight.
But it might be a blessing. Trying to get this fight to happen has been a nightmare. When Triller got its hooks into it, if they tried to do, let them get this one out of the way, and then.
I think it's going to be a great fight. It might even be a great fight even if it lasts for a short amount of time. It might end up being. Knockdown, drag out affair. It could be really.
I'm hoping so.
Lopez is dangerous. He's a great puncher. Kambosos has to be ready for this, and I'm sure he is. They've had plenty of time to prepare. It's been on again, off again. So we're gonna find out. Weigh-in is tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is Gabe and Munguia fight of the year? Was that an entertaining fight or was that a good fight? Because I thought it was both.
It wasn't fight of the year.
Okay.
I don't think that you could say it was fight of the year. It was
what could you say is though?
I'm sorry.
What would you say is fight of the year?
I don't know, man. Now you're putting me on the spot. You got to give me some
just say Munguia and Rosado. just circle back out.
Isn't Rosado just like, I fucking love that guy for this whole undefeated thing and all that people cling to. He turns up, he'll fight, and it's, he always puts on such a great account of himself. Like, I love just the way he turns up. He's got that proper old school mentality.
Old school fighter. And you know what the thing is? There are not a lot of guys. Find me other guys who have 7 and 8 losses on their record.
Yeah.
Who are not already burnt and done. Like they barely can walk into the ring. And this guy is as competitive. I don't know anybody who's more competitive with that kind of a record, because normally when a guy has that kind of record, he's been stopped, knocked out. Now he's got nothing left. Now everyone's using him as fodder, boom, boom, get him out of there. Yeah, another easy win for my guy, and he's not that guy. He's a throwback to the old days when that, okay, if you lost, doesn't mean you're finished. He's a guy who trains hard, he's ready, comes to fight. And I thought that Freddie and Marvin Somodio did a great job in getting him ready for a talented guy like Munguia. And Munguia, say what you want, although he was winning rounds, he had life and death in winning those rounds. And there were times in the fight where I thought if Rosado just put a little bit more on him, I think it might have changed the allure of the fight. But 100%, he's entertaining and fun to watch, and he's a real throwback fighter. That's what he is, a throwback fighter. And
it's never going to be an easy night. Like, even if you get the win, you've got to work for it.
That's right. And like I said, there's not a lot of guys with that kind of a record that are going to give you the work that he makes you put in. Not a lot of guys.
Russ, that's us for time. So if we don't see you this year, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, and all your Quebecois stuff, right? Maybe we catch up after Loma.
I think you meant Noel would have been the
You know what I mean?
Feliz Navidad if I was talking to you from Latin America, but yeah.
There we go. But mate, as always, it's an absolute pleasure. You're a legend, mate.
So much.
Thank you so much.
We have Loma coming up, you know that.
We do.
Yes.
We do.
We have Better Biev on the 17th here in Montreal against Marcus Brown. That's going to be another hell of a fight. But
massive domestic card next week.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm a little surprised though that you didn't. I thought you would, but I was a little surprised that you didn't make reference to this behind me. This is one of my prized possessions, and it's
black and white. It's black and white. Like you can see that I do color.
Yeah,
it's an amazing picture.
Do you know what it is?
It looks like Ali, but I haven't got my glasses on, so
not Ali.
I can't. Okay, well zoom it in for me, and we'll see.
I don't know if I can zoom it in for you. I don't know if I can zoom it in. Let's see how close I can get to that.
Yeah, Russ, I can't see anything, mate.
No.
It's a good picture, though.
All right. Well, this picture was stolen from George Gainford's office by an old friend of mine who passed away now. His name is Roy Hamilton. And Roy Hamilton was one of my mentors when I got my start in boxing. And he was friends with George Gainford, who was Sugar Ray Robinson's manager. And Roy was in Gainford's office in New York and walked out with this picture. And the reason I thought you guys would kind of know what this was, there were 2 photos to this set. And I don't have the first one. But the first photo was called Paradise Lost, and that's when Robinson lost his middleweight title to Randy Turpin. And this one is Paradise Regained, and that's the picture of Robinson knocking out Turpin.
Amazing.
To regain the title. And Roy, God rest his soul, man. He's a dear friend of mine. I loved him very much. He told his son, he told me, but he also told them, when I die, Russ Anber gets that picture. You make sure you give that picture to Russ Anber. So that's one of my prized possessions that I
amazing.
Have. An original, and you won't see a picture. You won't find this on the internet.
When I go, you can have the gloves. All right, you can have them.
Which are I can't. Oh, the gloves that behind the microphone. Oh, I've seen those before.
Yeah. Back to sender.
Yeah. Yeah,
mate. Maybe we'll catch up like after Loma, because surely you're in that corner as well, right?
Supposed to be. Supposed
to be. There we are.
New York. I'm very excited about that. So yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Let's go.
Thank you so much for your time.
All you have to do is ask.
Thank you again, man. Have a great one,
man.
Now you made up for supper. You made up for supper last time I was there. So now that I did the podcast, you're back in the owing for supper again.
There we go.
Always.
Bye,
mate.
See you later, my man. Have a great night.